Happy Friday, everyone. Good morning. We are going to finish up our Jack and Annie book, Civil War on Sunday. So today we're going to read chapters 9 and 10 and see how the story ends. Chapter 9 is called Don't Give Up. Annie, said Jack. Over here, she called. Jack saw two figures standing in the twilight. He walked over to Annie and Clara. They all stared in the direction of the distant battlefield. Bright lights flashed against the dark blue horizon, cannon shells exploding. Every time you see a flash, you know a shell may have taken a life or many lives, said Clara. That's awful, said Annie. Yes, it is, said Clara. A whole world can vanish in a flash. All a young man's joys and sorrows, all his memories. This is a cruel world. A cruel war, said Annie. All wars are cruel, said Clara Barton. People feel they must fight for causes they believe in, but they soon discover that war is not about glory and fame. It's about misery and terrible pain and sadness. It makes me miss my mom and dad, said Annie. It makes me really miss them. Annie sounded tired and homesick. Finally, she had lost her cheerfulness. I think it's time for you to go home, said Clara. Jack thought of all the wounded men who needed food and water and kindness and comfort. No, said Jack. We have to stay. We can't give up. That's on the list. Don't give up. Jack pulled out their list to show Clara Barton. Oh, yes, she said, nodding. I see one of my nurses has written down the things I often say. Let me add one more thing. Do not forget the ones who love you. Jack heaved a big sigh. He was homesick, too. Can we keep the list, he asked. Of course, said Clara. You don't have to work in a hospital to follow my words. They work in all of life, no matter where you go. Thanks, said Jack. My thanks to both of you, said Clara Barton. You were great helpers. You were a great teacher, said Annie. Goodbye, said Clara Barton. Be very careful going home. We will, said Jack and Annie. Bye. The sun was setting as they walked out of the camp. The boom of cannon sounded in the distance. Soldiers sang a song around a campfire. We're tenting tonight on the old campground. Give us a song to cheer our weary hearts, a song of home and friends we love so dear. Jack and Annie walked through the darkening field. By the time they reached the woods, the stars were out. They climbed up the rope ladder to the treehouse. Annie grabbed the Pennsylvania book. Wait, said Jack. He looked out the window. He couldn't see anything below, but the soldiers' songs still carried through the warm, starry night. Many are the hearts that are weary tonight, wishing for the war to cease. As Jack listened, he thought of Clara Barton, the elderly slave, the young Confederate soldier, and John, the drummer boy. War is not a game, Jack said softly. It is definitely not a game. Many are the hearts looking for the right to see the dawn of peace. The song ended. The cannon fire stopped. The night was quiet except for the croaking of frogs. Ready? Annie whispered. Ready, said Jack. I really wish we could go home, Annie said, pointing to the picture of the Frog Creek woods. The wind started to blow. The treehouse started to spin. It spun faster and faster. Then everything was still. Absolutely still. Chapter 10 is called Home Sweet Home. There was a booming in the distance. Jack opened his eyes and caught his breath. Is that cannon fire? He wondered. Are we still back in the Civil War? We're home, said Annie. Home, sweet home. Home. Man, Jack whispered. They were home. They were back in the Frog Creek woods. They were wearing their own comfortable clothes again. The cannon fire was really only thunder. At that moment, Jack loved the thunder. Raindrops tapped against the treehouse. We better hurry, said Jack. Wait. Leave the list in the treehouse, said Annie. It's the first special writing for Morgan's library. Something to follow. Jack took the list of Clara Barton's rules out of his pack. He put it on the floor next to Morgan's letter. I wonder how that list will help save Camelot, he said. I don't know, said Annie. But you know what's weird about getting that list? I think we couldn't just have taken it home when we first got it. We had to live it first. Jack nodded. Annie was completely right. he thought. He picked up his backpack. Wait, I see another note, said Annie. She picked up a piece of paper off the treehouse floor. On it was written, come back on Wednesday. I guess that's when Morgan wants us to look for the next special writing, said Annie. That's in 3 days, said Jack. Let's go home and rest. He started down the rope ladder. Annie followed. When they stepped onto the ground, the rain began to pour down. Run, said Jack. They ran through the Frog Creek woods, then down their street. They ran to their porch and dashed into their dry, cozy house. They found their parents reading in the living room. Dad, Mom, Annie cried. We're so glad to see you. Well, we're glad to see you too, said their dad, smiling, sounding a little puzzled. Go put on dry clothes, said their mom. Jack and Annie started up to their rooms. Halfway up the stairs, Jack stopped. Oh, I have a question, he called to his parents. Did anyone in their family fight in the Civil War? Their dad looked surprised. Yes, he said. One of your great-great-great-great-grandfathers was a drummer boy. Oh, man, whispered Jack. What was his name, Dad asked Annie. John, their dad said. Jack and Annie gasped. And what happened to John? Jack asked. Was he hurt in the war? No, he grew up to be a school teacher, their mom said. He had 5 children. Jack and Annie whooped with joy. That's great news, said Annie. Really great news, said Jack. Thanks for telling us. Sure. Their dad smiled, though he looked puzzled again. As Jack hurried up to his room, some words from the Civil War song ran through his mind. Give us a song to cheer our weary hearts, a song of home. So that was pretty crazy. So John, who was the drummer boy that they said looked a lot like Jack, ended up being Jack's great-great-great-grandfather. How cool. I had a feeling that maybe a little secret was happening about that. The other thing was that Clara Barton talked about her list that they were following while they were helping soldiers, and she said that list can be used not only during a time of war, but it can be used all the time. So I'm going to try to find what that list said. Let's see. So, be cheerful, lessen sorrow and give hope, be brave, put aside your own feelings, and don't give up. That sounds like things that we can do every day, right? We can always try to be cheerful, right? Try to bring joy. We can try to help people be less sad and give them hope that things will always be better or things are good, right? We can always be brave, try new things, not be afraid to put ourselves out there and make new friends. Put aside your own feelings. So that means no matter how you're feeling, you always have to think about how other people feel too and make sure that we're taking their feelings into account. And never give up. Always important. So that was Civil War on Sunday. A really great book. Pretty cool. Jack met his great-great-grandfather. And a really great story about being there for people who need it. And it also talks about nurses and doctors who are not only important back in the Civil War time, still super important today with what's going on with the world now and all the time. We always need doctors. Well, I miss you guys. I hope that you have a fantastic weekend. Next week, Miss Christina is going to be the one reading Magic Tree House book number 22. So can't wait to see you guys, and I will talk to you later. Bye.